Happy Sunday, everybody. Meteorologist Hunter Forrest here. Welcome to Hurricane Hub Live, the show that happens every single day at 8 o'clock, where we track what's going on in the tropics. And we have, of course, something to talk about, Invest 90AL, that we've been tracking over the last couple of days. And as of the 8 o'clock advisory, still a 30% chance of development over the next couple of days, but a 70% chance over the next week. And we're going to continue to see Invest 90AL push westward over the coming days, entering the Caribbean Sea, where there's not a ton of wind shear and there is plenty of warm water, untapped water in the mid to even upper 80s in a few areas. And as we take a look at our satellite down towards the Leeward Islands, bringing some showers and thunderstorms to the area. No defined center yet, but we're seeing some convection bubbling up here with this system as it continues to push off towards the west. Right now, here's a look at the spaghetti models. They're kind of all over the place. There's a large spread as we head into the upcoming work week and even into next weekend. This goes all the way to next Sunday. We have some that takes it up towards Hispaniola, straight out towards the Western Caribbean, and then some down towards Central America. So there's kind of three possible scenarios that could happen as Invest 90AL gets into the middle of the Caribbean. Does it head westward and go towards Central America? There's the possibility that that happens. There's also scenario 2, which seems a little bit less likely, where it heads towards the Western Caribbean. And then does it have the chance to make its way into the Gulf? That chance is less likely. There's a lot of troughs and fronts that come down very far south this time of year that can kind of squash these systems and push them out to sea. And then there's scenario 3 here, which is kind of more likely, the most likely option, where we'll see a turn towards the north, somewhere around Cuba, over towards Hispaniola or Puerto Rico. But this is a 900 or over 900 mile spread of possibilities. So once we get that defined center, then we'll have a much better idea, and the models will have a much better idea on what this system plans to do. Right now, we just have to kind of wait until it develops into a tropical depression. We get that center of circulation, and then eventually makes its way into the Central Caribbean. But it does have a lot going for it, very warm waters and not a lot of wind shear. So a good chance we'll see some good development with this system. Here's a look at the European model. Heading into Tuesday, not a whole lot going on. Maybe see a little bit of development by the end of next week. This is Thursday, the 23rd. And then we start to see, a little bit heading into next week. But as of the latest model, not seeing a whole lot with the European. It's been kind of going back and forth. A strong storm, and then the next model, not a whole lot going on. So even heading into next week, October 27th, not at least with this particular model, not seeing, a major system, which is good, but the models don't really have a good grasp. At least the European right now doesn't have a great grasp on what this storm expects to do. But still, this European model still takes it on a westward track closer to Central America. And that's a trend that this has been going on over the last couple of days. And as we take a look at the GFS model, it's continuing to have a similar track over the last couple of days, but this one develops much quicker. The middle of the upcoming work week, October 22nd, could be seeing, according to the GFS model, a tropical storm, maybe a hurricane by the end of next week, 23rd into the 25th. And then we see that shift off towards the north, but it kind of meanders in the same spot for a couple of days, moves over Hispaniola and moves off towards the north, really growing in size, likely becoming a hurricane, or even, could it become a major hurricane by next weekend? All of those possibilities are still in play. Now, remember, the European model this time around the 25th had a weak little system in this area of the Caribbean. The GFS, hundreds of miles away, has likely a strong hurricane that just went through Hispaniola. So there are a lot of possibilities with this system. So that's why it's important over the next couple of days to continue watching this. This is the model comparison, and you'll see here in red, this is the European and this is the American. a big storm, the GFS model wants to do. Take it and meander a little bit here just to the south of Hispaniola, move it northward. That's been a similar trend the last couple of days. And the European has had the trend of making it more west over towards Central America, bringing in some showers and storms and not have it as strong. So again, once we start to see that center forming, we'll have a better idea. The models will have a much better idea. The takeaway really is we'll likely have a tropical storm or hurricane as we head into the middle, maybe even end of this week in the Caribbean Sea. But where it goes from there, it's still unknown. That's something we still have to watch over the next couple of days. That's why it's important to check back in, each day just to see what's going on, especially if you have any plans down in the Caribbean heading into next week. That's something you're going to want to pay attention to. But as we take a look at what's coming up on HHL, we're going to have an update on the Eastern Pacific, but also an answer to the trivia question. That's coming up in just a couple of minutes. Welcome back to Hurricane Hub Live. Let's take a look at what's going on in the Eastern Pacific. Luckily, it's relatively quiet out there. They've had a pretty active season, but right now we're only seeing one tropical wave here in orange. This orange X, about a 40% chance of development as we head into the next 7 days and expected to move westward away from any land. So that is some good news there in the Eastern Pacific. Let's take a look at our trivia question that we talked about last night. That was, what device is dropped into hurricanes to measure pressure, humidity, and wind? Was it a hydroprobe, a barosensor, a storm pod, or a dropsonde? That answer is D, dropsonde. Hurricane hunters fly up into the hurricanes. They have this little device that shoots out of the plane and drops right into the hurricane and takes all of this data. It's some pretty cool stuff. All right, I appreciate you joining me tonight for Hurricane Hub Live. We're here every day at 8 o'clock. Tim will be back tomorrow. And again, thanks for joining. Have a great night.